Hey, welcome back to Second Thoughts. I'm your host, Hunter Reusche.
And I'm your host, Ramos.
And I'm Chandler.
And today we're here to talk about racial profiling and labeling in general.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump right in. As you guys know, personally and myself, I am not very fond of labeling and as the aspect.
Yeah.
You know, I like to look at us as all human, not from, I mean, ranging from like race to gender to religion. You know, we all are one as a species. You know.
Yeah.
We're all one people.
Yeah, and to discriminate against other people is not my forte. I'm just
I like that. No, yeah, I understand you. I mean, labeling in general now is just, I feel like it should have gone out of style a long time ago, but I mean, it's still very much present in our society today. But I mean, I feel like there's just absolutely no need for it, you know?
Exactly. And like, from a thing that was established in the 15th century as race was to kind of separate cultures and ethnics to put a hierarchy in place, and for that to still be standing today is dumbfounding, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's used for just insults, you know? And a great man I got to meet last year, he grew up with this huge disability and being discriminated against for that, and living in this kind of world that he was not able to adapt to because he had 3 fingers on one hand, 2 on the other, and stuff like that. His name was Roger Crawford, and he had this quote that is, teasing is a weak person's imitation of strength.
Ooh.
You know? And that's really for most of that kind of labeling in general. I believe that labeling is an imitation of a weak person's imitation of strength.
Yeah, it's trying to put someone else down so you can feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really all the reason why we have labels, really. I mean, just to show a certain amount of status, which is dumb.
Yeah. Like, it's just like labeling food products, like, but you don't need to label humans. Like, because you would label a food product to see which one is better, but why is one better than the other at being human, you know?
Yeah, like we're all people.
Yeah.
We all matter.
Like, don't judge by the car they drive.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to you yet, but it will. That ties us right into one of the articles we'll go over.
Our favorite person in the world,
Prince EA. He gave a poetic speech called "I Am Not Black, You Are Not White," and it is a very deep, life-changing, I would say. All of his videos are life-changing. Life-changing video. I really appreciate this one.
Yeah.
But how the car's like related to it is because where is that? Yeah. He says, see, when I drive my car, no one would ever confuse the car for me. Well, when I drive my body, why do you confuse my body or confuse me for my body? It's my body, get it? Not me. Which I always think is really cool because on the inside we're all the same, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we've all got our separate personalities, but I mean, still we're all basically the same. I mean, we all have a basic sense of right and wrong and, you know, just what we believe in, I guess. Yeah.
Nice job. Yeah. What was the other thing I really want to talk about in here? He goes, so in the video, I'll just describe that for you guys, just in case you haven't seen the video or because you guys are just listening to this or whatever. And really, you don't need to watch the videos or read any of this stuff. Like we
always talk about videos, but you don't.
We've
really
come to a conclusion. Like in the first episode, we're just like, you need to watch these.
Playlist or whatever.
Yeah. No, but I think we do a pretty decent job of going over these things and analyzing them and getting their basic value.
So, yeah, but for those who haven't watched the video, the format of the video is that it goes through. First, he starts it off with him just talking, and then from there it exchanges to other people of different races, to religion, to gender, of them voicing his what he's saying. Like for instance, he'll be in the first part, he'll say I am not black. I mean, that's what the world calls me, but it's not me. I didn't come out of my mother's womb saying, hey everybody, I'm black. No, I was taught to be black. And right when it starts to say, no, I was taught to be black, it switches to another person who is mouthing what he's saying, so it looks like they're saying it.
It goes through about 20 people or so.
Yeah, it's constantly changing people.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And then at the end, all of them come together, and they where is it? Yeah, DNA cannot be regulated by the FDA. We were meant to be free, and only until you remove them all and stop living and thinking so small, we will be free to ourselves and each other for who we truly are. And they all come together, and it's just clothes, which the way he designs his videos is so just...
It's amazing.
Yeah, everything.
Every single one has a different concept.
Yeah.
It's always just so cool.
Mm-hmm. It's always got a kind of a different style to it,
Exactly.
It's never been the same, which I love.
Mm-hmm. Because who we truly are is found inside. I always love that line, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just meaningful. And then, after that, he goes into how earlier I was saying that racism wasn't ideal from the 15th century.
Mm-hmm.
I said it on this podcast, yeah?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
we talked about this before the podcast.
It's a 15th century ideal, and the fact that it still stands today is completely outrageous, It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like the school system not changing.
Yeah.
But we have certain customs and stuff, and that's fine. But some things do need a change for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, racial profiling is obviously one of those issues that has been a consistent issue, for the past century.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we've made progress on working towards finding a more permanent solution, but I mean, we're still a good ways away from actually finding a good solution.
Yeah. It's even sad to see in our society, for instance, with this other article we found by Bob Herbert. It was actually in the ERWC thing, but I'm the book thing, is that while we are changing as a society and adapting to we've just 250, not even 250 years ago, the United States outlawed slavery. It wasn't even that, it was 1865, that's not that far, but we were still trying to adapt, It wasn't until about the 1960s, 50s, they're still debating if racism was okay,
Yeah.
And in Bob Herbert, it kind of relates it from the present day struggle, which is with his view on the New York City Police Department, and he says they need to be restrained. This is because they take action against people of color far more often than people that are white.
Yeah. So in that article, he's describing how African Americans and Hispanics get stopped by policemen more often than the average white person.
Why?
But
I was gonna say smarter than the average bear.
No, but they get stopped. I think 3/4 of the time more than the average white person, which I mean is astounding. Why would the cops be discriminating against two specific races?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's just like it's an old issue, you know, and people are also stuck in some old, you know, perspectives.
Mindsets,
old mindsets, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're in a more progressive period now, you know, where, you know, we've changed our mindsets. But, I mean, still, like, you know, there's still people like this who... I mean, well, this article was published in 2010. But all the statistics were taken from 2008 and 2009. But still, I mean, the numbers are outstanding. Like, here it says...
The fact that was only 7 years ago.
Yeah, so...
8, 9, you know?
Yeah, so here it says, the percentages of stops that yielded weapons were even smaller. Weapons were found on just 1.1% of the blacks stopped, 1.4% of the Hispanics, and 1.7% of the whites. Only about 6% of stops result in any arrest for any reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Interesting.
Yeah, so it says 1.1% of the blacks. So they're the least number. And then 1.4% of the Hispanics, so that's the second number, and then 1.7% of the whites.
Mm-hmm.
So the whites, quote unquote, have apparently the highest number for, you know, having a weapon on them. You know, and it says 6% of that total were arrested for any specific reason.
Which isn't okay that people that just because you're white you get away with it. Like that's not okay.
Yeah.
And the fact that people of color are getting stopped more just because of the way they look is just it's terrible, you know. Like I know even later in the article it talks about this, I believe it's a charter school teacher. Is that who it is?
Yes. Oh, it's right here. Sorry.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah. It says Lalit Carson was stopped while on a lunch break from his job as a teaching assistant at a charter school in the Bronx. Dion Dennis was stopped and searched while standing outside the apartment building in which he lives in Harlem. The police arrested him allegedly because of an outstanding warrant. He was held for several hours, then released. There was no outstanding warrant.
Yeah, and then they completely lie. Just because they thought, oh, this guy must have something on him because of his color. Like, that is ridiculous, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and then, for just adding on to, like, more excuses as to why, you know, people just, like, the police take them in.
Mm-hmm.
They just say things to take people in, which is, so let's see. Furtive movements, commonly used in a crime, a suspicious bulge, which could include a wallet, a notebook, and a cell phone. So all of those would apply to being a suspicious bulge. Yeah. And then another one is inappropriate.
It's a weird way to say it.
Yeah. Inappropriate attire for the season. And then it's
like,
exactly.
That coat is way too heavy for now.
Yeah, so it says, I saw a guy on the Upper West Side wearing shorts and sandals a couple of weeks ago. That was certainly unusual attire for the middle of January, but it didn't cross my mind that he should be accosted by the police.
Yeah, it's stupid.
See? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's the reasoning behind all this, you know, is...
Wow, you have sandals on? It's 50 degrees. You must have a gun. Are you going to rob that bank with those sandals? Or those flip-flops? Oh, yeah.
Oh, don't get me
Perfect running attire. Oh, yeah.
I guess I can sort of understand a big coat in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that could be, like, a trench coat could be, like, suspicious.
I guess, yeah.
But sandals?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I'm wearing sandals. I know I dress like a dad.
Yeah. But, like, okay, and then it goes to, like, in the defense of the police department, it says, the police department insists that these stops of innocent people, which are unconstitutional, by the way, help fight crime, and they insist that the policy is not racist.
Crime of bad shoe attire.
Paul Brown, the chief spokesman for Commissioner Kelly, described the stops as life-saving. And he has said repeatedly that the racial makeup of people stopped and frisked is proportionally similar to the racial makeup of people committing crimes.
Like, this is...
So?
Yeah.
This is so funny. Like, it doesn't even sound real. Like, it just sounds like a fake article produced.
Yeah, it sounds like it's supposed to be satire, but it's not.
This is not the New York City, like, police department. It's the fashion police.
It's the fashion police.
And they're like, we are saving lives.
Yeah.
We are saving, like, what is it? The social lives. That's what it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, you know.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's just saddening, honestly.
Yeah.
especially through like when you look back and you see, I mean, we've come very far. You know, just 50 years ago, it would. Yeah. I mean, it was that races had to be in a separate bathroom. Like, how ridiculous is that? You know, and to see how much we've changed from since then, like that's beautiful.
I mean, we've definitely made progress, but
then it reverts back to like stupid things like that, and then you're just like, well, are we just back where we started?
Yeah, it's not a big. Well, I guess it is a big population of people, but I mean, it's just a common mindset that you'd have to be superior to someone else, and you have to put them down in some way, shape, or form, and it's just to make yourself feel better. It's all about ego, really.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, people may feel like they need to put themselves on like a ledge or like a higher ledge because on a
pedestal.
Yeah, on a pedestal. It's like ledge.
On a ledge.
Ledge, chair, pedestal.
Yeah.
Because they needed to make themselves feel better, so they need to put down someone in order to be put up.
So they decide that just because you're different, you get to be discriminated against.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, it's offensive.
Mm-hmm. It's just it's mind-boggling that we're still in that kind of loop. Honestly.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's annoying to even have to talk about it. Really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like it's hard to talk about it because I feel like it's such a simple thing to get rid of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that it shouldn't be talked about.
Like making the podcast in general. Like, it's like, this is such a simple solution. We just need to stop making it such a big deal.
Yeah.
Which leads actually right into our next one. So now we have on the floor Morgan Freeman, who...
Welcome, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, woo! Guest on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Morgan Freeman. So Morgan Freeman is awesome.
Disclaimer: he's
not here.
He's not here.
We do very bad impressions.
He's here in heart. He's here in my heart. March of the Penguins, Shawshank, and
Penguins.
Yeah.
Bruce
So in 2005, he had this interview with Mike Wallace, who's this guy who is the 60-minute, like he does all of those 60-minute things, which I love 60 minutes. It's my favorite amount of time.
A whole hour.
No,
this is so nice.
It's peaceful. No, but 60 minutes is like they'll interview from any kind of like spectrum of people, from fast. Like I saw another one with this guy who he has this disability, but he could play piano. He could play anything, like in any kind of like system at all. Like you could just be like, can you play something that's like Bach, but play it in ragtime, so it's like jazzy Bach, and you'd be like, okay, and just like insane.
That sounded very ragtime right there.
Yeah. And
hello, my honey.
He could just do it, and he's blind too, which is very amazing as well. To be able to see that. Anyway, hopping back onto this 60 minute. So this 60 minute was with Morgan Freeman, and he was asked in part of the 60 minutes what he thought about racism. Or actually, it was specifically, it was
about Black History Month.
Yeah, that's how it started off as.
Yeah, it was like, what do you find Black History Month is? And then Freeman, which is surprising at first, he's just like, ridiculous, which is like, you're like, what?
Yeah, it's like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And so Wallace, he was shocked, and he was like, why? That made no sense. Like, I mean, I would be thinking the same thing at the point without him explaining himself. Like, at first, I'd be like, why would you think that's completely,
ridiculous?
Yeah. So, he like, for after reading it and going through it, since it's set up in this like an interview standpoint, he like goes back and not goes back. That's wrong. He questions Wallace like, well, would you like a White History Month? And he's actually Jewish, so he's like, well, would you want a Jewish one? And he was like, well, is there one? And so Wallace is like, no, because there's not a Jewish History Month. And he was like, why do you not want one? And Wallace was like, no, no. And Freeman, which made it clear, is like, I don't want one either. And then he says the thing that I really appreciate, which is, I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
Yeah.
Which, exactly.
I mean, yeah, it sets it in stone right there. I mean, that's really, it just sums it up right there. You know,
sums it up right there. It sums it up right there.
Right there.
Yep.
Right there. It sums it
there.
up. Right there.
Where?
Right there.
Right here on this piece of paper.
Yeah, right here.
It really does though. Like throughout, I mean, this podcast, like we could end that podcast with just like Black History Month is American history. You know.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's so Freeman.
We still got more to talk about.
Yeah, we got more. Yeah, but so Freeman says.
I know it sucks, but
yeah, he asks why, and he says, "You're going to regulate my history to a month." You know, so it's like, why? Why would you regulate any certain race's history to a month? You know.
Yeah.
It's because it doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like we don't have a White History Month. We don't have a Mexican History Month, or you know.
yeah.
Anything else?
Anything else? Yeah, except for Black History Month, which I mean. Reading this and listening to this, it makes sense. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why would we have?
Like for me, like I've always thought, like even before reading this, that like having Black History Month was just not that I didn't want it. Like that's weird, and I was like, it was funny to me. Like
it's strange.
It was just there's this month for that. I was like, okay, because like before I even heard of it, I was just like. Okay, yeah, like that was history. That was just cool, you know? And then all of a sudden they made it a huge thing, and I was like, okay, I mean...
You know what I always thought was funny about Black History Month, though?
What?
Is that, so, okay, you're going to give, you know, you're going to make, you know, Black History Month, but you're not going to give it a whole month. You're going to give it the shortest month of the entire year.
Yeah, which is...
28 days.
Which is completely stupid.
29 days every 4 years.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Starts building up there.
Yeah.
It's sort of similar to the way that people complain about Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. Where they're like, why would you only celebrate love on that one day, yeah. Why would you only celebrate this
celebrate your...
month? Just be happy about it always.
Celebrate your love.
Exactly. Or like how... like for instance... for St. Patrick's Day. On St. Patrick's Day, everybody wants to be Irish. It's just the thing.
Except for the Irish.
For the Irish. It's like, I'm very Irish, so it's, yeah.
It's a lot of Americanized holidays.
Yes.
A lot of drinking holidays.
Truly, in myself, I hate commercialized holidays. Like, I almost, to a point, do not like Christmas. Which is a weird thing to hear.
No, I get you. I get what you mean. Like, I know where you're going with it.
Yeah, like, I like what it used to be. Yeah. And I like being able to, I like just buying things
the true meaning of Christmas.
Yeah. I like buying things for people and not really expecting anything in return, but just to see this shining smile on their face.
Yeah, I enjoy that a lot.
That is truly, that's a gift in return in general, you know, to be able to be the cause of their smile, you know. Like, that's something that's so heartwarming more than a gift, in my opinion.
I think that the reason that I don't necessarily dislike commercialized holidays is I dislike the commercialized part of the holidays, but I still celebrate them in a non-commercialized way. Yeah.
One thing, it's like always going like to CVS, and you'll have like, it'll be like Christmas, and then immediately it's like the next holiday, like Halloween.
Get your New Year's stuff.
You're not going from Christmas to Halloween.
No.
Or Halloween to Christmas. Like, it's like, Halloween's over, all right, let's put Christmas in. Like, I personally hate,
you cannot put Christmas. November.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
But they even skip that in stores, you know, for the most part.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, like, my thing is, like, don't start setting up Christmas until, like, at least after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I think the day after Thanksgiving is when that is okay.
Black Friday.
Yeah.
The darkest.
Yeah.
The darkest time.
Yeah, but that's like, as from love to Black History Month, I just feel like that should just be a constant celebration.
Yeah.
You know?
It shouldn't. I mean, yeah, I guess it should be celebrated, but I mean, like, all the time, you know, not just specifically on one occasion.
Yeah. And I get it if you're like on that holiday you were especially doing it and recognizing it.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I get
We're
that.
not.
I get
we're
that.
not.
I'm not dissing Black History Month. I'm just saying that we shouldn't just do it on Black History Month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
So
Actually, I really like what you just said there. Where like in during Black History Month, it can be more.
Yeah, you can celebrate even more than what you normally
usual.
do.
But it should still be a constant thing.
Yeah, consistent.
Yeah. Same with whatever Valentine's Day, anything like that.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Have fun and don't be stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's
But I mean, it's like the opposite side of the spectrum for like birthdays and stuff. Don't be celebrating your birthday all year.
Yeah, don't.
It's not your birth year. Well, I mean, it is.
Rule
It's
28.
It's not your birthday
yet.
unless it's your birthday. This rule does not count. So, yeah, and going like, one of my favorite like people in history actually, Frederick Douglass. Relating it. This is my segues from Black History Month into Frederick Douglass kind of era. For those of you who don't know who Frederick Douglass is, he was a person who abolitionist, I guess would be the right way to say that, because he was around during the Civil War time of trying to adapt the abolition of slavery, and he started out as a slave, and I believe he escaped. He escaped and moved to New York.
Yeah.
And he was able to like start movements of getting people like riled up about not having slavery and stuff like that.
Nice.
And I always thought that was really cool. And for the fact that a lot of people don't like, I know kids who don't really learn about him, and like they'll learn about him, and maybe they won't even learn about him only like in segments, or only like, why only celebrate him during Black History Month? Like, he is one of the main people, the main reason that slavery is like outlawed. He helped spread that belief everywhere in the North.
They don't know when his birthday was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense since he
just existed.
Yeah.
He was a slave.
Yeah,
he wasn't
a slave.
Yeah. So.
Just says 18.
1818.
No, I was just thinking about that time period that you were talking about, just the Civil War and everything. But like, the only thing that the Civil War in itself was just a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think one thing that I especially didn't like about the Civil War was that at the beginning the North didn't necessarily want to abolish slavery. Like near the end, nearing the end of the Civil War, it was like, yeah, we're gonna win the war, but I guess we could abolish slavery too. Like, it wasn't like definitely like one of their main
that wasn't a
priorities.
main thing.
Yeah, like that. But like, as kids, we always learned, oh yeah, the North fought to free the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, they didn't. Not really.
Yeah.
They just happened to.
The North fought.
Yeah, like
and then
that,
also freed the slaves.
Yeah, that
exactly.
war. The war was not for like getting rid of racism. I think the real war against racism took place in the 1950s with Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
Was it the 60s?
60s?
Well,
yes, it was probably the 60s. Sorry. Actually, it totally was the 60s.
Yeah.
The civil rights movement and stuff.
Yeah.
With that is a war without guns, Yeah. And I think some of the most powerful wars were without guns,
The Glorious Revolution.
I mean, Martin Luther King got shot.
Well,
yeah. I guess that was with a gun, but
But I got what you were saying.
yeah.
But
I mean that battle,
everything that he stood for and everything that he did, it was nonviolent.
to Rosa Parks,
It was a civil war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, civil.
It was very civil.
Civil. Yeah, but like,
I hate the name Civil War because it's
yeah,
not what it was.
Yeah.
like our Civil War, the most Americans died in, so this is sad to think about, That gets gruesome, really gruesome. And just people.
Yeah.
People. It's just, it's very upsetting, but also, it's a weird concept to talk about of racial profiling and like labeling, because though it has happened since the beginning of human civilization, it has evolved to become worse and better at the same time.
I get you.
Yeah.
But also, sometimes look at it as like between 5 people having a civilization, like when it's like 2000 BC to now, as the more people increase, the problems will get bigger, but then the solutions will become bigger.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's the way to look at everything. You know.
But see, the thing that I've never liked is that we as humans let our problems boil up until basically to the breaking point, and then we try to figure things out.
Yeah. Or that they'll decide to do something that just benefits them at the time.
Yeah.
You know,
that doesn't fix things long term.
Yeah. Like for instance, for our like in politics, just recently we just decided to the Republican Party just contradicted themselves of being against it when the Democratic Party was in power, which was electing a judge. That Obama, during his time, he was about to elect a judge to have the Democratic have more power in the judicial branch, but the Republicans went against it, and they were so strongly against it that it didn't get through because they shut down everything. But then that same thing just happened with Republicans being in the shoes of where the Democrats were, and then they won. But that now, once Democratic people come in power, like then they have the same choice because people don't look at what's gonna affect them in the future. You know,
they just think about what's
gonna benefit them now, and that's why one thing I wish that our government and our civilization and society adopted in general would be the 7th generation principle, which is a belief in the what?
No, nothing.
Is a belief that was established by the Native Americans that they would not make any decision as long they would only make their decisions based on the benefit of their great grandkids. You know, that's how they ran everything.
No, yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna interject because but I'd like to acknowledge that I had a moment of realization. I understand.
I know what that is.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm smart.
But yeah, I like to think that at some point or another we could kind of get back to that. You know, like think about future generations.
Yeah.
But, you know, like so we can think about our future, and I just not just our personal future, but our future as a society, you know, to better our world and ourselves, you know, as people.
Yeah, and through that, of using that as because that's the same thing from going to education to fixing any issue, really. You know, you have to be focused on the long run, not just the now.
Yeah,
that's the only way. You know, you can't fix labeling with just fixing something. You have to have it so it can shoot for the long run. It's just like starting a club at a school. You can't just start the club at a school and then
expect it to run itself.
Yeah, expect it to run itself, and then when you leave, expect it to run itself. You have to give it some
backbone.
You have to pave the road for it to follow. You know.
Yeah,
otherwise, it's just gonna go off the edge.
Yeah, you gotta lay down the groundwork.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta print the blueprints in order for the building to be built. We're just gonna make analogies of how to make things successful.
I guess.
That's what the rest of this episode.
Seeds.
Yeah.
Of society.
In order
in a farm of reality.
Yeah. In order for the trees to grow.
In the soil of justice.
Justice.
You're like the Crimson Chin.
Yeah.
Yes.
As long as the seeds of reality are planted in the farm of justice, then life shall live on. I don't know what that means at all.
Me neither.
Yeah, but it sounded good.
Yeah, thanks.
Good job. One way that I know Mr. Freeman. I don't know why it sounds so weird to call him Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman.
Morgan?
Yeah, Morgan.
Bueller. Morgan.
One way that he's noticed is that we almost do the opposite of the 7th generation principle, you know?
That we only think about our generation.
Yeah, well, it's almost too much, you know? Like, for instance, I think one of his main things is that he wishes that, or he not wishes, he proposes that one way that we would only get to be able to get to a point where racism is to a halt would be if we stop talking about it.
Which, I mean, I agree to an extent.
Yeah.
You know, like, if we stop talking about it and stop making it such a big deal,
exactly, that's what he says here. Yeah.
Then we can definitely.
Yeah. He says, if you talk about it, it exists. It's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it. Making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is the problem here.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Paper. Drop mic.
Mic drop.
I'm not dropping that mic because it's kind of in a stand, and
it'd
be a whole issue.
It's pretty nice too. It would sound terrible.
Yeah, you guys would not enjoy it. I would enjoy it because it would be the satisfaction of me dropping the mic after saying that statement.
I don't think I would enjoy it.
No.
Yeah.
I'd be like, whoa.
I'd be like, same. Yeah, I paid money for that mic. You know, I'd be like, no, Mike, why'd I drop you? You know, so.
But more to the point of our story.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I guess what we're all trying to say, what we're trying to get you to retain, is that treat each other like human beings. Don't be garbage to one another. Just enjoy yourselves with each other.
Treat each other like human beings should, not necessarily how they do.
That's true. Yeah. Thank you for
exactly.
specifying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be kind to one another. Be respectful. You know, just don't be jerks.
Yeah. Don't be jerks.
I like that.
Yeah. That I think that should be the title for this one.
Be respectful. Don't
Usually
be jerks.
we don't mention that during the episode, but okay.
Be respectful. Don't be jerks. Well.
No, which one? No, yeah. Which one are we gonna do? I mean, you guys will know.
Yeah, you'll know. The title.
So, but we don't.
You won't figure it out until the end of it. What we're talking about, though.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's okay.
Yeah. So. All right. You know what? I've been your host, Hunter Reusche.
And I've been your host, Ivan Ramos.
And I've been Chandler.
And thanks for listening.
Stay hungry.
Stay foolish.
See ya.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day, and we thank you so much for listening.
Well, that was a long outro.
Yeah, I know.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
See ya.